All right, another exciting week has passed. This actually was an exciting week. A whole lot of shit went on. So I'm in Guanajuato now. I think last week when I checked in, I was in Mexico City, which was a lot of fun. We had the Project World School Family Summit up here in Guanajuato, Mexico. And I was the MC of the event, which was pretty cool. I met a lot of nice people, learned some nice things. It was kind of like a split between a conference about education and one about being a digital nomad. So for me, like it really kind of satisfied some of my personal interests. And also this idea, like, for the last 2 years, I've been traveling all the time. And it kind of, a lot of people say, oh, you have a wife and kids, you won't be able to do that no more. But, I've seen lots of families that have done it and now been to a conference about it. So it certainly is realistic. My lips are super chapped. Look at these things. They're fucking ripped. Yeah. Wicked chapped lips. So this week it was like overwhelming. So like the conference, I kind of had to be paying attention and active the whole time. So I didn't do very much work. The first few days I definitely like overworked myself. I even got a little sick because I was like trying to actually do a regular, put in like 3 or 4 hours a week of work plus do, a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. conference all day. And it was just like too much. And it was just too much. And like I didn't, so like for like 4 or 5 days, I didn't do any of my like yoga kriya. I didn't do any exercise. I tried to eat pretty healthy and that I'd have healthy stuff. But like I noticed like the last couple of weeks, I've been eating like lots of sweets and like tons of like gluten-y products. I sort of like got off of some of my healthy things. And actually one of the mornings I was sick. The place I stayed at wasn't like perfect. It's funny. I went from, 3 weeks of staying in dorms with like anywhere from 2 to 8 people in them, and now I got my own hotel room for the last week. But I actually preferred the dorms because the fucking hotel room didn't always have hot water, so that sucked. And like I said, I was sick one day. Had like super stressful drama with the Peer Unschooling Network website. I had a parent contact me asking me to remove their daughter's account, and based solely on the fact that she hadn't done anything wrong as far as I know. They felt that she was oversharing on the internet of personal information, and I don't know exactly what that means. And in a way, it might not be my business to be like, well, tell me the personal info that you don't want her sharing, right? So it's kind of this awkward spot where they contacted me. I don't want to, I don't want to delete somebody's account because their parents request it. Like that very much goes against my feeling that these young people are human beings that need to be respected and have some rights and privacy and not have some authoritative figure that can just pull away their freedoms. And like, the website, not to call it like an antisocial network, but I purposely do things on it to like make it, there's no like buttons to like give you some false sense of well-being or your ego or whatever. There's no friend lists. Like it's just a community where everybody's there and anyone can talk with one another. So like, it's just a place where people get to talk. Like you want to take that away from somebody, their freedom to talk to someone. And then I found out they took away like all her internet access. So here's this like homeschooled kid who now has no internet access. Jeez, like that's definitely restrictive. And so I was trying to figure out like, am I like an asshole? Am I like some monster because some parent requests their kid's account deleted? And I'm like, no. Like that's, I don't know. It's so I contacted lots of different people. I contacted some lawyers. I contacted some other parents, like asking everyone what do they think. And it seems like because she's over 13. Legally, she has her right to, internet privacy, and by deleting her account, I would actually be violating her privacy. So it's just this stressful week of like, okay, what do I do, and how do I present it, and like, okay, am I being an asshole? Am I being a monster? Am I being stubborn? I think I'm being really well intentioned, and don't get me wrong, I don't want anyone to get hurt in any way because of this website. If somebody's doing something that it's like, fuck, like, and I suppose inevitably, like, wouldn't eventually somebody get hurt in some way? Like, just that's the nature of freedom, is sometimes you trip and fall and bang your head. Like, and so you're like, oh my God. And so I'm like in this position, I guess, of responsibility of over people I've never even met these kids. You know, it's a strange paradigm and it's really, really stressful. And, you know, it's like, is it my role to decide, like, for other people what their liberties are and their freedoms are? I don't know. You know, I was a guest on this podcast this week called the Peaceful Anarchist, and the guy was kind of trying to make it sound like I was an anarchist, and I'm like, I don't know if that's the case. You know, I don't necessarily subscribe to all anarchist philosophies. I don't like the idea of being forced to do good things and be a good person. I like the idea of just doing good because we want to, not like being forced to be good, which is what kind of government and law in many ways does, is it forces you through threat of punishment, through imprisonment or whatever, to be good. And taxes are like, we're forcing you to give us money to contribute to the public good, as opposed to saying like, hey, let's do something voluntary or based on donation. So that went on. I did the emceeing. At first I felt a little out of place because like, who is this guy? And I had some drama recently in the unschooling world with someone talking shit about me, which I've mentioned on here. And then I did some stand-up comedy for the teens. So they had a talent show, and I thought about doing some jokes for the talent show, but I exercised good judgment. That was my talent, and I didn't. Instead, I did like a little show privately just for the teens, and it was like so sloppy and loose. Like, my material wasn't great. They interrupted me every like 5 seconds to ask questions, and it was like not a comedy show. Which was weird, but they seemed to like it and have fun. So that was like my test drive for what will happen if I do some kind of a summer comedy tour at libraries performing. Like, I guess I should expect to be interrupted every fifth word and to not do a real show, but to be okay with the idea that it's not a regular show, that people will still like it. So yeah, that kind of stuff was cool. I talked to some teens about the idea, like this whole like traveling road show about self-directed learning or something like that I've thought about doing, where you go around, instead of me just doing a comedy show, like get a bunch of, self-directed learners to do music or poetry or dance or whatever their thing is, that's their like creative passion they put out, and like people were into the idea. So anyways, that's enough. Like, I didn't like do a great job with my mental health and balancing that out all week this week. Well, there was like I shouldn't say I didn't do a good job. There was a couple days of stumbling, and then I like kind of recovered from it. I was working too much, and then finally I was like, fuck it, like I'm just not going to do much work for a few days. Like, it'll be all right. I need to get sleep and rest, and okay. I missed a few days of doing my Kriya yoga, like, so it's not like I fucked up. I just wasn't perfect for a couple days, whatever. Yeah, keep it on ticking. Think next time I check in, I'll probably be back in Mexico City and then Costa Rica. Actually supposed to check out of this hotel 6 minutes ago, but I don't know where I'm going next. Somewhere in this area still, but yeah, things are good. All right, peace.